I am a Navy sailor in a classified unit. There's something in the Atlantic Ocean that the government doesn't want you to know. My name is Roy Shaw, and the events that occurred in the Atlantic Ocean in 2016 still haunt me in my every waking moment. It's securely and extremely deadly operation of which I cannot name for my own sanity. For sure I'd be killed if my superiors ever found out I uttered a word into the outside world, full of naive civilians who fail to understand the sheer amount of unknown and electric horrors and monsters which lie in the ocean undisturbed. An unknown unmarked Nazi submarine was discovered at the bottom of the ocean, sunken but somehow in peak condition, which leads me to think that supernatural elements were at play. I was unwillingly picked to join the secret naval task force called the Leviathan Killers to lead the expedition to recover and investigate the Nazi super submarine that was ahead of its time, possibly the peak of all naval engineering in World War II. I found myself in a poorly lit submarine of America's most recent naval technology, descending to the dark abyss of the Atlantic, as we sought to discover what lay in the submarine. The endless pitch black that encased our steel vessel was only viewable through the glass portholes as I questioned the events that had led me to sink into the Atlantic Ocean to my death mission I surely could not recover from. The submarine began rapidly climbing down the abysmal maw in the ocean floor, a dark pit that branched off into the utterly massive ocean cave under the ocean floor. Our shelter from the unfathomable cold and endless darkness reached the floor of the darkness encompassing us to the Nazi submarine came into view. When they say the submarine was beyond its time, it was an understatement. It was a technology I couldn't hope to fathom, extremely advanced in designs and engineering that seemed almost alien. It was beyond anything the Americans could craft in the war effort. Even today, the technology which I fail to see anything surpassing to this day, as I live haunted by what we found inside that cursed steel hell. Deprived from my command, an airtight latch was connected to the Nazi super submarine. As we boarded with our rifles and searched the dark submarine, I came upon an ancient deteriorated audio record placed deliberately on a metal table which appeared to be art-tech yet ultra-modern laboratory. A primal urge immediately beckoned me to leave the submarine immediately upon spotting the record, yet I somehow compelled to reach forward and play the record, which utterly shocked me as it was able to play after all the time that has gone by. We have awakened it. What we have found was not meant for human eyes, not meant for this world. God help us. The ocean is hell. A single echoing self-inflicted gunshot would sound through the recording as they eventually cut off after the space had run out. As I walked outside the room, I began truly gasping at the fact that it was extremely dark and the construction within the submerge was chilling and void of any color. My doubts were quickly exhausted with the hard, chilling fact that my standard issue steel flashlight beam shined upon a Nazi swastika imprinted on the long steel wall of the submerged submarine. It was drawn in a vicious red liquid, blood flesh it appeared to be. Although the implications of that were horrible, the submarine had sunken under unknown conditions nearly 100 years ago, and the unspeakable fact alone that the Nazi swastika drawn in flesh and blood was right in front of me. Illuminated by my dimly flickering flashlight beam, the red vicious liquid dripped into my haunted eyes, were solely fixated upon the deadly crimson dipping into the floor, implying that it was recently drawn. An absolute worst scenario, I reckoned. It must have been imprinted cruelly on the wall a few minutes ago. God help us. A loud scream came from the other hallway of the submarine as I immediately beckoned to go investigate. As I ran down the dark hallway, I came upon a gruesome and abnormal scene of gore. What I saw was nothing compared to the haunted sights of World War II when I was fighting the Nazi fascists, for before me, lit by a flashlight of my men, were 4 dead bodies of horribly mutilated and deformed. They were beyond the grasp of human recognition. Vicious and dripping black liquid poured out of every visible orifice and facial feature of the dead men. Their eyes were no longer in their rightful place, and the chunks of blisters and ripped flesh were torn out of their abhorred chunks. Clear sights of violent damage and vicious attack were extremely prevalent, yet upon my further investigation, no shots were fired from my men's rifles. Their combat knives had not been drawn. Whatever or whoever committed this atrocious act, they were fast and very gruesome. A crash emanated from the utmost further of the corner of the submarine, which beckoned me to run forward with my rifle in hand, shouting orders to my men as I searched for the killer. Crazed and strange thoughts were curling through my head. I was sure that a quick bullet to the head would have been a true act of mercy to those men, and truthfully, I had only my rifle to give them a merciful death should the need arise. As I turned the corner and my eyes befilled on the source of the noise, I saw that it was one of my men, horribly mutilated and physically uptorn to beyond human recognition. The only thing that indicated that that pile of vaguely humanoid torn flesh was human was the torn combat uniform and the self-inflicted knife wound, presumably to have a quicker death than whatever happened to him. Afterwards, I was on the verge of absolute insanity at the precise moment that everything was just tearing my mind apart. I decided to try to ditch this mission as I made an effort to make my way out of the depths of this extremely advanced Nazi submarine and escape this abysmal hell. Fuck this mission. Fuck this country. This isn't supposed to fucking exist. The screams of my men shattered the deafening silence as it emanated through the hallway. When they cut off, I knew the last of my men had met a horrible, dreaded, gruesome fate. I ran and ran, not glancing my haunted eyes upon the corpse of my dead men as I hastily made my escape. Fear was not only a concept or a feeling in that period of time. It was a sensation of nothing on this earth. I can never replace it or find a similar familiarity to it. An ungodly sound immense through the hallways of the cold Nazi submarine, as the noise of some eldritch abomination of which I could not fathom made a pursuit after me. I stumbled through the dark hallways with my rifle barely in hand. I glanced once behind me. The second I saw the horror of nothing on this earth or beyond, I possibly could hope to surpass, a horror that weakens the human's eyes, never meant to behold it at all, its existence, and upon its extinction. This will sound long, but it is the only way I can ever hope to describe the creature that I saw, if it is even alive or from this earth. I cannot hope to ever give justice to a proper description of the horror, as I've only seen a portion of the abomination, though I consider that mercy, as if I had laid my eyes on the entirety of the horror, I had gone mad. Behind me was a pure pitch-black darkness rapidly enclosing, in which hid the thing, bringing total absence of light and color. In a split second, I decided to make a hasty decision to look back. I witnessed the tendrils of appendages and other alien organs connected to some kind of long mass of flesh. Something was so incomprehensible in my mind, threatening to tear at its thin threads by merely looking at it. The appendage was nothing of this world or anything else, something that can only belong to utmost horrors of the universe in which God shunned himself. It was the geometry and color my brain was unfamiliar with, the vain attempts to shun, despite the thing right behind me, in pursuit to bring new kinds of hell upon me. No words can properly convert my utter terror and unfamiliarity of the appendages. How alien it was, the color, the texture, the elusive geometry, the way it moved was tearing my mind apart. An absolute enormous yet minuscule at once stench out yet short. The appendages alone was nearly enough to drive me mad, and I could not help wonder what unholy leviathan it could have belonged to, and what could have possibly looked like. The thing was hidden in darkness, and my head foolishly slammed itself against a low-hanging doorframe near the exit, which connected to the airtight submarine. My body went unconscious as I descended into the cold steel floor as I regained my mental access to the hell I was in. I absolutely could not bear to lay my eyes upon whatever had mutilated and laid waste to my men, and had haunted, tormented, and scared me permanently with a single fraction of its physical manifestation. I clenched my eyelids shut and waited for the sensation of my flesh being ripped off my bones as I heard the noise stop and felt the inward horror had stopped above me. I shook with so much fear. I hoped and hoped and hoped that a heart attack would fall upon me, as it would take me out of this abysmal hell. I shook and was consumed by a primal fear not meant to be known by a human's mind, and with the screaming of utter cosmic agony as I felt the true presence of the magnitude of what lay before me. The only way to describe the feeling of the entities present without being truly mad is the utter accident, primal, disgusting, and something that was never meant for humans to be in the presence of. The entity was not fifth dimensional. It was something beyond, so horrifying, not even classified as a god, for something else, something exceeding the version of language, communication, or definition of being anything in the universe could ever thought of. That was purely what it seemed to me. As a human, I will never truly find out. I remembered the sensation of nothing but pain, utter pain and suffering beyond human limits, beyond what my nervous system could have been able to rationally process. I could not even find the sanity to scream or shake. I lost consciousness. The mission I was forced to go on was highly classified and high-end. As the last result of such an operation, every reconnaissance and rescue team was sent to our corners to rescue any survivors and remaining intel. From little to no information I was given by my ignorant supervisors, only 2 men out of the 30 of the rescue team would return, as a longing surface of the attack from an unknown source. I was found with burns, symbols, ruins carved scattered all over my body. Once the aftermath of the traumatic experience settled, I could not read my mind of the dead researcher's words, which were imprinted into my mind word by word, and they haunt me to this day. As I live to my final strain of my haunted days, I could not even imagine the stories of the others who have witnessed similar horrors. What we found was not meant for human eyes, not meant for this world. And that'll be an end to this story. I'd like to thank r/scary stories and also Deadbull4572 for posting such a story. The link will be in the description if you decide to read this on your own. And there is also more parts just in case you want to read more. Thank you for watching, and please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories.